All right, I'm Rachel.
I'm Lacey.
And this is Babs Outside, finally part 2 of our White Rim in a Day adventure, only, what?
9 months later?
Yeah, enough time to have a baby. So, wanted to deliver part 2 of this adventure and primarily focusing on what we packed, how to do it, how we planned,
What not to do.
What not to do, first and foremost. And we can only really talk about, I guess, the way that we did it because we haven't done it twice, and nor do I think I will ever do it again, but
maybe we can just do the other way.
not me. So why don't we get right into it? We're gonna start with the best time of year to go. So there's 2 different times that you can do it, spring and fall. We did
early spring.
Both spring and fall. You have to worry, I think, about water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I think that's the perk of going the other way that we didn't go, clockwise. We went counterclockwise, correct?
I don't even remember.
I don't know.
So long
We went up Schaefer last, so when you do that, you don't have access to water. So you have to really ration yourself. Whereas if you go down Schaefer at the beginning, you have the Green River right there that you can filter water out of. So if you go the way that we did, you have to be really careful. And that's why it's really great early in the spring because it's not extremely hot and you're not getting dehydrated. It did get kind of hot, but
really hot.
Yeah, but it's also really cold in the mornings. So like it wasn't really hot until like, I don't know, like 11-ish, it started to get warm. And so you do get hot and you do need to drink more water, but it's not nearly as bad as it would be if you went like dead of the summer.
And the only big thing about spring is you might have to contend with Jeep Week. So just check the calendar, make sure that Jeep Week isn't going on if you don't want to have a ton of cars on the road while you're doing it. All right, so to go clockwise or counterclockwise?
That's the big question.
I think we all came to different conclusions after we finished.
How do you feel about going counterclockwise? Do you regret the decision going up Schaefer at the end? No. I think I do.
That was way better. Mine sucked ass.
Oh, ow, my arm's cramping.
But we did counterclockwise. What was the route like counterclockwise?
Very chill at the beginning, so it's really nice to have that like super chill and like you can warm up, which I did appreciate, but the end was so bad that like, like if you haven't watched our other video, go watch it now and you will see me dying 1,000 deaths going up Schaefer because it was so hot. Like to climb it in the morning wouldn't be like, it'd be totally different, but I was hot, I was dehydrated by that point.
And you're also at like mile 95 or
by like
98.
mile 60,
Yeah.
It's hard to eat anymore. For somebody who's like not really sure about their fitness level, I would say to go clockwise and to go down Schaefer to have that water source, or if you're not like, you've never done anything big like this before.
Also, clockwise was beautiful. If you do that, and if you actually want to stop and like look and take pictures, we were suffering so badly at the end, and that's where kind of like all the beautiful stuff really is, like Muscleman Arch, and we didn't see any of that because we were suffering so badly and just wanted to get the climb over with.
Yeah, I have a couple of like videos of me like trying to video, but like I'm like so weak and tired and like I can't even hold the GoPro straight. I think all around it's better to go clockwise, but there's just something about doing, if you're gonna do something stupid, like do it as stupid as you can do it. And so I think that was I know that was my mindset going in.
And I think if you're going for fastest known time or an FKT, it is going up Schaefer at the end.
Yeah, because it's a bitch.
Not that we were looking for like the fastest time, but we were looking to survive. And I think the only thing is if you do it clockwise, just be prepared at the end for just a long climb. Schaefer is shorter, but hella steep. And the other direction is just like 20 or 30 miles of climbing, like steady climbing.
But like, yeah, I feel like it was probably what, 2 or 3%. Don't quote me on that, but like it's doable. Like I've never cramped ever in a race, never. My legs cramped on Schaefer and I tried to get off and walk my bike and like I almost fell over.
Yeah, it was rough. Day use, overnight permits, and the permitting system in general. So it does require a day use permit if you do plan to do White Rim in a day, and you have to purchase it 24 hours in advance.
Which is nerve-wracking because you don't have cell phone service out there.
Yeah, you can. I had Verizon, and we'll talk about cell service a little bit later in this video, but yeah, it's really a struggle, especially if you get out there to camp in advance. There's very limited, if any, cell service at all. So make sure that you try to buy it as soon as you can if you know what day you're going to be doing it.
I mean, Rachel's the planner. I didn't really think that far about that, nor did I think about the camping. So I think that was one thing we could have like known a little bit better about. Especially like maybe having like a couple like pinpointed camping spots to know like these were options, because that was probably one of the most stressful parts about it.
Yeah, and we somehow managed to find like a bar of service, and it actually went through, and it's between $15 and $20 for the permit per person. The funny thing is, when we got there, we were so early, we just rode through the visitor center, so we didn't even see anyone. And we were so late at the end when we finished, we also didn't see anyone. So, I mean, do your best to buy a permit if you can, and if you can't, there was no one checking when we went by. Okay, next up, gear and bike choices. Yeah. So maybe start with bikes because that's a little bit easier. Just ride a mountain bike.
Yes, do not. There's a portion in the video where I talk about like, you would annihilate your arms and your wrists and your rims. Like, I say, don't do this on a gravel bike. Just don't. Save yourself the heartache and the pain and the broken wrists and broken tires, because that's what'll happen.
Yeah, gravel bike is gonna be rigid. Yeah, maybe you're gonna be a few minutes faster, but there's some deep sand too that you want thicker tires.
Yeah.
And it's just, it beats you up. There's some portions of that ride that will beat you up, even though it's kind of like a flat road.
I mean, I don't think that a gravel bike would be faster, because look, like Pacey McKelvin, Kate Boyle, they were all doing it on mountain bikes.
It's true.
So there's probably a reason that they were doing it on that.
And Alexis Garda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a badass bike.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I didn't change my tires. I would have probably preferred to change my tires to something a little less knobby. I had a 2.4 super knobby on the front, and I was hurting on this ride. So I was definitely bringing up the rear, but until like I kicked in the end around 90 miles. But
never am I ahead of Rachel when I had it. And I was like wondering what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I was bonking.
For probably 40 miles because I was hurting that whole fucking time. We're getting close.
I had 2.25s. I had like the XTRs, and I highly recommend those tires for this kind of route. Like, you still get traction, but they're not too much and not too heavy. This is like my go-to jacket. So when we started that morning, I had this jacket on because it was like 32 degrees. One mistake I made was not having like hand warmers or thicker gloves in the morning, because I had
leg warmers, so you had to use mine.
Oh yeah, that either. I was thinking I'm going to the desert, it's gonna be hot. No, it was cold. So learned that firsthand. So yeah, definitely needed a little bit warmer of clothes. I have rain on, so my hands were going like completely numb for the first 2 hours. On the bike, I had this is an REI, I don't know, what would you call this? Like
a front bar bag?
Yeah, front bar bag. But I love this because it has these like side pockets. So I used one for like all of my food trash, and then my iPhone actually was super stable. I was surprised it never fell out. In here, and I recorded a lot of my footage on my phone, and I had a whole like extra bladder in here, so really loved it. One thing I will add though, if you've never done bike packing before, is to put like frame tape, protective tape on your bike, because this rubbed my handlebars. They're black, and I was kind of sad about that. I also had a top tube bag. This was for all of like my goos, which I was so tired of eating. Anything else like sunscreen I might need really quickly on hand. And this is the pack I used. It served me well, but I think I would choose a different one.
It's a bit more of a running and hiking pack.
I did like though, because like, it has like these little bottles in the front that like go in here, and it attaches so they can't fall out. I had to scratch in those, so like going up Schaefer when I had like no energy to like even like reach for my like the hose, I was just like sipping out the side. But yeah, it fit a lot. Rachel and them had much bigger packs. I think I might even use my winter hiking pack next time that I love so much. Yeah, those were like my main gear choices.
My gear choices, I had my Osprey Raven 14 that fits 3 liters of water, and I had another smaller water bottle that was collapsible that I also put in front. I drink a lot of water, and we'll get to that. Yeah, I carried like 7 liters of water, so I was another reason why I think I bought. And I also had a front frame bag, but I gave it, I think, 0 out of 10 stars. It was a Rock Bros bag that I got on Amazon.
In my front bag, a 0 out of 10 stars. maybe one. Did not work, so I ended up hooking it up to my back.
And it kept falling. It looked more like an Ortlieb bag, but it was not. It kept falling into my front tire, so I had to constantly tighten it. And it was so, and I had like another 2.5 or 3 liters of water in there, and that could be why, because I had a lot of weight in it. But I ended up taking it off and fashioning it to my back because it was not cutting it. I had one of my favorite pieces of all time that I wear year round. It's this Patagonia Capilene shirt with a hood. And so it's just like my all-time favorite shirt.
If you don't believe she wears it a lot, just go watch all her videos. She's wearing it.
Yes, every single video. I have 3 of the exact same shirt because it is my favorite shirt. I had that on in the morning, which helped, so I didn't have to take off the arm warmers. And I had knees that I actually just wore the whole day, I think.
Oh man, I ripped those off at like
yeah, I don't know. It
so
ended
hot.
up getting really hot, but I was just bonking so badly that I just had to do everything I could to keep up. So I didn't want to like
stop. You also had your neck gaiter on.
Yeah, I had my neck gaiter on the whole time. So, and I don't even know why, but yeah, like I said, I was bonking. I also had thing I liked a lot more was my Rock Bros frame bag that was up top, and I had a lot of my food and phone and GoPro as well there. In addition, I had 2 water bottle cages. If you have a bike that can only, like, because a lot of our bikes are smalls or mediums and they don't have 2 bottle cages, I put a bottle cage underneath my bike that worked to be able to carry 2 bottles. Did you have 2 bottles on the bike?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so that was helpful. And then obviously like tools. Make sure to bring chain lube because it got dusty as hell out there. Yeah, so we didn't have a rag. We used
a neck gaiter.
We used a neck gaiter, so to try to get the dust off around mile 50. Otherwise you're gonna get chain suck and it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
All right, where to camp. This is perhaps the most challenging as well as nerve-wracking piece of this entire adventure because Moab has certainly gained a ton in popularity since, the last time I tried or attempted to do White Rim was probably a decade ago, and it was super easy to find a camping spot, but now it's almost impossible. So if you don't reserve in advance, like a year in advance in an official campground, you're probably not going to be able to find a spot at a campground, even if you go during the week. And also the campgrounds are going to be super loud and noisy.
Yes, I was very happy before we camped.
Yeah, well, we lucked out. So we ended up driving, first of all, we had to drive for like probably a good hour to find the spot that we found. And I almost don't even want to tell anyone where our spot was.
Was it legal? I think it was.
It was legal. Yeah, they had a fire pit and everything. It was just on BLM land, and it was close to Dead Horse Point State Park, and it was beautiful. It was gorgeous. It was remote. There was nobody there. It did add 6 miles to our trip because we rode there and back, but it was totally worth it. And there was probably maybe 5 to 10 spots in that area.
Yeah, and I don't think they were all taken either. Like all the other campsites were like completely packed. Like they had it gated off where you couldn't even enter them. But it was super quiet. We were able to get a lot of sleep, and yeah, highly recommend.
And there was nobody traveling back there, so I don't think anyone actually knew about it. So if we did go back, please don't take our spot. But it was a baller spot. Cell phone coverage.
Spotty.
Yeah, cell phone coverage was definitely spotty. I had Verizon.
I had AT&T.
Neither of us had Sprint, and the other girl who was with us, Natalia, she had Verizon as well. And the only place that we could find with coverage was by our campsite. If we walked down this road,
like 5 minutes.
Yeah, like a 5-minute walk in the middle of nowhere. But that was the only place we really got cell coverage.
There was some of those first campsites that we stopped by. They did have cell phone coverage there, but obviously we couldn't camp there. So
don't anticipate on it until like Starlink is like ubiquitous. So
So pre or post ride, where should you go? Well, we only have one recommendation really, because that's where we went. And that was in Dead Horse State Park. It was pretty mellow, so like I really liked it, but maybe like we should have driven there. And even though it wasn't that far,
it was like 22 miles before we did trying to do an opener.
But it was like 2 hours.
It was a little long, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and it wasn't too intense. And
we also could have cut out some of the trails. We did every single trail in there.
Rachel doesn't like to skip trails.
Which it did me in the next day. Anytime I feel fabulous the day before, which I did, I know.
Red flag.
The next day is going to be really shitty. There's also Navajo Rocks, but that is probably a good maybe 5-10 miles down the way. So maybe do that on your way out if you can sit on a saddle after doing White Rim in a day.
Yeah, I was just so anxious. I just wanted to go get the pre-ride done because like I knew I was gonna be nervous like the whole rest of the night. Oh, I knew I was gonna get dropped, and so I was just like, at what point will I get dropped? I mean, I did get dropped. Yeah, I did going up Schaefer.
Well,
Head down. You're doing it. Keep pedaling, don't stop. Keep pedaling. You got to. I don't want to sit down. You do not want to sit down. Come on.
well,
That was expected though. All right. Is this the last topic? I don't know.
no, there's more.
No, okay, we have more. Well, the next topic is nutrition. This is probably one of the hardest things because it's going to be hot. You have to carry all of it. You have to make sure you're going to want to eat it. You want to make sure you have electrolytes. So everybody's going to be a little bit different. But as far as like water goes, I would say 5.5, 6 liters at a minimum. Like I think I had a couple sips left. Rachel like drank her last sip of water. You had 6.5?
I had 7 liters.
Oh, just kidding, 7 liters. So she drank all of it. I have a few sips left. I had this like platypus bladder that don't recommend because it was like plastic.
And it leaked in your bag.
Yeah, it leaked in my bag. So I think I lost a good like 6 ounces, 8 ounces maybe from that. I would just use an extra Camelback bladder.
And if you're going to be slower, then that's also, you're going to need to bring more water.
Yeah,
So it just
true.
depends on how fast you are and also where to carry it. I didn't practice riding with more than 3 liters on my back, so I was afraid to carry more than that on my back. So I had it kind of distributed on my bike somewhat evenly. But Natalia, who kicked both of her
Oh my gosh,
asses, she had all of her
crushing.
water in her back.
Yeah, see,
So-
I don't think, even still, I think I wanted my water on my bike.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard though when you have a lot in the front, like when you're going through steep climbs, your front like wants to pop up. So that was kind of annoying. I really wish I would have been able to, like I have a Revelate frame bag that I love, but I would have sacrificed a water bottle and, but now like, thinking back, I think I might have used that instead.
Yeah, it was, the water situation was tough, and I know my body. I know I drink a lot of water, and I also sweat a lot of salt. I also brought Scratch
Bring extra.
bring extra so you can stop and scoop it in there as well.
Most definitely, you're gonna be sweating. And so speaking of like nutrition, my like go-tos, always these Goo Liquid Energies. If you've ever tried the SIS gels, these are like way better. And these are great because like towards
Which we're gonna have a goo / like rye
You
food
can-
taste test.
I'm making you taste the SIS gels.
No, we all have to taste because it's a
Okay, fine.
ranking.
Okay, fine. I already know it's gonna rank below this. But these are great too because like when you start to get low on water, you don't really need like maybe like a swig of water. You can get by without even having water and drinking these. And they taste like Capri Sun, which is like stellar. So I have a ton of these. Also like Goo Chews are great. I tried the Scratch Chews. And I typically do love Scratch Chews, but they all melted together. And I was very, very mad. I almost crashed trying to get them out because I was so hungry. And I was at the point that was like mile, like, I don't know, like 80. And I could not get solid food down. So that was a no-go. Also, like, just because you don't want to eat like fake food the whole time, these are one of my favorites. And I swear by Kids Cliff Bars. These are my
Interesting.
Yes.
And what was that, applesauce or like a fruit baby
this is
food packet?
Apple mango.
Oh.
H is a number. I can be a baby.
And for
It's
lunch,
relative.
what do we have for lunch? We like famous PB&J.
PB&J, well, tortilla.
Yeah.
Which tortillas are actually really good because they're high in sodium. And they're easier to pack into your Camelback because they're not as like fluffy. Yeah.
And Lacey's a dietitian. She didn't say this. So
Oh,
she
yeah.
is a registered dietitian. So
60 grams of carbs an hour minimum.
That's what I was going to ask. How many grams of carbs
Okay,
an hour?
females, if you're doing this, you could get by probably like 50, but I would not go any lower than that. And you want to start eating, like I think I started eating like 15 minutes in, like I was popping Goo Chews. Because nerdy stuff, which are glycogen stores, which are like the carbohydrates that are stored in your muscle, if you go hard for 2 hours, which once we got past like the first 2 hours, like it was a lot of climbing, so we're going hard, you can burn through your glycogen stores in 2 hours, and that is when you hit the wall. So you really want to like eat as often as you can to keep your blood sugar high, so you're not having to tap into your glycogen stores. You'd rather use those for all those little short punchy climbs. So yeah, just eat a lot, test it out, Like, don't just go and try to whip this out and never have, have done a long, hard ride and practice your nutrition, because you're going to get gut rot and it's going to be absolutely miserable, and you're going to have to like hitch a ride from like a Jeeper.
And I wish I would have started with more real food, because I didn't want to eat anything, because number one, I think I had too many gels to begin with, because it was easy to get down. We were moving pretty fast, and also all of my gels had caffeine in it.
Yeah, we were swapping gels.
Yeah, we had to swap gels, because I was like, I'm about to jump out of my skin. Like, I'm cracking out, but I also am bonking at the same time.
One thing is important is to like mix up the gels. So like doing like these and also those other ones, and then like in the morning when it's cold, like some of the goo chocolate ones are really good, and those would be good at that time of the day. But eating a chocolate goo at like 3 p.m. when it's 85 degrees is not appealing.
Yeah, so if I had it to do over again, I would have eaten more real food in the morning when I actually had an appetite, and then used the gels to like force food. Yeah. That was a little bit easier when we didn't want to stop, because we just wanted to haul.
That's why, again, I'm going to go back to these. They're so easy to swallow, because the goo, it's like you're like fighting it to get it down your throat. Maybe you should take Natalia's advice. She ate Pro Bars. I think she had 2 of them, and she was waxing our asses. Yeah. So maybe Pro Bars, if you can.
But they had a lot of fiber.
Yeah.
Fat.
I can't do them. There's some people that love them and they swear by them, but like, not for me.
And at the end, we were eating beef jerky. I'm a vegetarian, and I just like could not eat anything else, so I was eating beef jerky at the end.
Know your body, know what you like to eat,
and
what you can tolerate, and eat lots of it is basically the point.
Yeah. Okay, what to expect. We're gonna do this at least counterclockwise version, and just flip it and reverse it for everything on the clockwise version. So what to expect to start?
I think the very first thing I remember was very like memorable was the sand.
Yeah.
And I think that was around like mile 20.
Yeah.
Just so annoying, because you're pedaling and like you're not really going fast.
Well, before we got to the sand, it was like downhill for a good 20 miles, which was excellent, but also...
You know that does not mean good news for you later on.
And it was beautiful descending into the canyon. It was really gorgeous. And then once we got to the canyon, that's when we encountered sand. And then there were bathrooms at campsites.
Yeah.
And we had to wait in line, actually, at some of the bathrooms. Yeah. So if you have to go big bathroom and take a grumper, like, you could do it there if you can. Otherwise, bring toilet paper. There's wide open spaces.
Yeah, you'll easily find a spot to go to the bathroom.
Beyond the sand, it was hard scrabble climb. That climb that came at what, mile 30?
Yeah, it was just really steep, and like, it wasn't very long. But like, you do that one and you know that like, damn, it's about like, shit's getting real.
And it was pretty steep too. I thought there were like 20% grades.
Yeah. I think my heart rate got up to like 180, 190 at that spot. I've recorded it. I don't know how I recorded that, but yeah. I do remember it hurting.
Yeah, so we got over that climb, and then you descend, and it was beautiful in the descent. So definitely stop to like pull out your camera or whatever. If you have a GoPro, like record there, because it was absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. And beyond that, there was a long climb that we had that was where we stopped to do lunch, because that was literally the only shade that we could find.
I pushed my bike up that.
Yeah, I think there were several spots. Just be prepared to push your bike, unless, I mean, Natalia she had to push on like very rarely. But
she pushed right there.
Oh, she did?
Yes, I have video of her with her head down on her top tube. Yeah.
But there's some punchy stuff that it is rideable, and if you don't care about spiking your heart rate. Yeah. And then,
I was all about conserving energy though. Yeah. Like, I'm like, I could ride that, and like, for my ego's sake, but like, for my sanity, I don't want to.
For my fitness sake, I could not, because I was balking so badly. But so once we got up that climb, that's where we stopped, because there's an overhang that has at least some shade, and it was also getting towards the middle of the day, and it was hot as hell. So that was a good place to stop, eat, lube our chains.
And sunscreen.
Yeah, and it's about halfway either direction you go. So that was a good spot to do that. And then once we got over that, it was, what do we do after that?
I feel like, I'm pretty sure that was more climbing. I feel like it was like from like mile 40 to mile like 80. Every time I looked up, it was some bitch climb that I could see ahead, and I was like, no.
I don't know. I kind of blocked it out of my mind because I was hurting so badly, but it does get progressively more beautiful. So when we were going, there was this amazing canyon off to our right that was gorgeous.
We stopped there.
And we did have, I think so. And we had, because I remember I went to the bathroom there, and you got a bee chasing you with your chamois down, like running.
I was starting to hit the wall, and this goddamn bee just wouldn't let me be.
Yeah. But there was some downhill sections, which were pretty nice and fast. It was more like road downhill, so it was very little downhill, but we did have some good stretches of that. And then before you got to Schaefer, there was bumpy.
So bumpy.
Yeah.
I vividly remember that. I was getting a headache because when I was dehydrated, and then my whole brain is just shaking
rattling.
around. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Rattling around in my head, and I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, it was bumpy, and it kind of sucked, and then your ass is just raw, so you're kind of trying to stand up, but your legs are also tired, so it was rough. So it was very bumpy in that section. Beautiful, but bumpy. The last climb, at least for us, was Schaefer, and that was pretty rough. I think you've heard enough about how scary that was. Not that we want to scare you. It's doable. It's just
you might walk it. You might walk it.
It was about 45 minutes, probably.
An hour. It felt way longer.
Yeah, it was a long climb. It's 2,000 feet a gain.
Yeah.
So it was quite a bit, and then, but once you're at the top, that's pretty much it. And we exited the park at that point. Mm-hmm. So depending upon where you have your car, it might be a little bit less. Our total ride time was 106 miles, but that's because we parked at camp.
Yeah. I think it's 98 total, 90 something. I don't know.
Plan on 100, but
if you're hurting at the top of Schaefer, don't stop.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, just don't stop pedaling, because we had to sit down and our legs locked up. And then Lacey, when you came up,
I had my
head Skeletor pushing a shopping cart, you were dying. And don't stop, keep going. And then we had to hop on our bikes and then go.
You got to.
I was so done after that too.
You do not want to sit down. Come on.
It was rough.
It was a hard 3 miles back. Film footage, how to get the footy, and
I think that's where we kind of mess up, because you don't typically on really fun downhill trails or just any other bike adventures that are shorter, we'll use the head mount or the chest mount. And I had my chest mount with me, and I kind of anticipated using it, but you were so tired, it labors your breathing. Mm-hmm. And to wear that all day, and you have to get out to go pee or use the bathroom, it's a pain in the butt. And then when it's on your head, it's constantly coming down on you on all those bumpy roads.
Which is what I had. I had a head mount, and just because my chest mount doesn't really, it just films mostly bars, which is.
I think that might be user error too, though, because
I don't know.
You might be have a shorter torso too. I think it might be more difficult.
I don't feel like I have a long torso, but I don't know. Maybe it just angles down. I haven't figured out or mastered the chest mount just yet, but I had it on my head, and it was it felt like a bowling ball after the day. It just really hurt.
If I were to do it again, I would definitely have the bar mount, which I did actually buy the bar mount after this trip. And I had my phone, I was saying, in the pocket of my front bar bag, and so I got a good bit of footage on that. So anytime you're stopping and looking at views, totally fine to use your phone, but it does kind of suck when you're editing to have phone footage and GoPro footage. Mm-hmm. It's just a really big pain in the ass. So I would say definitely just choose one and stick with it.
Yeah. And in terms of drones, we did bring the drone and we filmed at our campsite, but you cannot film in national parks, period. So unless you get, I don't even think you can get permits for it. So you might be able to if you're a professional company, but just don't mess with drones in national parks. Or national monuments either. So
it's kind of sad though, because it's so beautiful to be able to show people, and but yeah.
Yeah, and
respect Mother Nature.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, full packing list is actually on our blog post on this that we'll also link, and go visit babsoutside.com where you can get everything that we have here in a checklist. But what did we bring besides bike stuff and everything just to prep for camping? So
the camper.
Yeah, we had a camper, which was great. Slept 3. So I have a Rocky Mountain 4-wheel drive camper that is just a pop-up camper on the back of the Tacoma, which was perfect for us 3.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was really good. It has a heater because it did actually get kind of cold at night, and it cranked on.
Yeah, I was gonna say bring warm clothes to sleep.
Yeah.
And to get ready the next morning because you're gonna be cold.
We brought 12 gallons of water that we ended up drinking literally almost all of it. So, and we were there from Thursday through Sunday. Mm-hmm. So drove out Thursday, rode Friday, our pre-ride, did the White Ribbon a day on Saturday, and Sunday we didn't do anything. We just drove home.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. We had high hopes of riding Navajo rocks, but we just didn't want to sit on a saddle.
Nah.
Or even hike for that matter. The 12 gallons of water that we got through, and then we also had an 11-liter solar shower that is a must. We didn't take any showers except for after White Rim.
Yeah.
And
so good.
it felt
so
good just to get like all the red dust that you could scrape off with a butter knife off of.
I actually look tan.
Yeah.
And I'm not tan.
Yeah, it was good. So we did that, and the 11 liters was actually perfect for all of us. Like, we didn't wash our hair, but we could certainly rinse off everything, which was lovely.
I would say, didn't we struggle they had like a camp, like a pit there, like a fire pit,
Mm-hmm.
but like I think we struggled to light it, didn't we?
No.
I think your lighter didn't work.
No, well, I had lighter fluid, so we were like.
I can't remember. Maybe that was somewhere else.
That was a different
Ignore
camping
me.
trip. That was our Blanca
Yes.
trip that
That's what
it
I'm
rained
on.
and then we couldn't light the fire and they were just getting eaten by mosquitoes and we're just like, it's not worth it.
That was worse.
Yeah. But we ended up, the fire was great. And in terms of food, I have a cooler that I think it's like Domesco. I'll put it up. I can't remember. It starts with a D.
Yeah.
But it's a cooler that you can plug in and when there's solar on the camper, which was great.
Yes.
So that really helped, so we could put all of our food. And we planned meals in advance so we could minimize the amount of food that we had to bring. Or
Which
at least
was
like what
hard, might I add.
because I'm a vegetarian.
I have like histamine intolerances. Natalia is gluten-free.
So that was the hardest part, which we do have our food list that we brought too, if you like have that many people with like eating challenges. But we cooked, and usually one person at a time cooked in the camper, and like you kind of did a lot of cooking.
Yeah, I
and
took the reins on that mostly.
And also cleaning was vinegar and water in a spray bottle, like really helped cleaning all of the stuff, which was great.
I use that now, and ever since you told me that, I always use it.
Yeah, it was really good. And then beyond that, what else do we have?
I mean, our sleeping bags, obviously. Mine was, I don't think I brought my super thick one.
Yeah.
But I do remember being cold, so.
Yeah, sleeping bags, pillows, the typical stuff that you would bring to like nice car camp.
Yeah.
Anytime you go camping, I mean, you got to bring your trowel, your poop shovel. So we had that.
Gotta shovel the poop.
Yeah, and then toilet paper, of course, and
compostable, biodegradable.
yes, exactly. Lacey had these wipes.
Oh yeah, the amazing shower wipes.
Yes, like they have soap already in them, and they sud like really well,
Yeah.
even with just like a drop
You
of
feel like
water.
a new woman.
Yes, they were amazing. I cannot rave
We'll
about
leave
these enough.
link down below.
Yes.
Super cheap on Amazon too.
Yeah,
Nice.
or like right here.
Yeah,
Like,
but
we'll
not
put the picture.
biodegradable, so like pack it out, take it with you.
Yeah. What else? Bike pump. You gotta have a bike pump.
Yeah.
One bike pump. And pro tip: fill your car is going to be very weighted down, and if you're coming from Colorado going west, it's kind of uphill, so you're going to be going slower. Fill up all of your bladders and your water bottles for your bike in advance, so that way you just have the extra water on your bike and
Pack
ready to
your
go.
packs the night before too, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We have our GPX files, both going counterclockwise as well as a GPX file going clockwise if you decide to do it that way. We have this entire list in a Google Doc form that you can make a copy of on our website, babsoutside.com. We have a video. If you haven't seen part 1 already, you can watch part 1. It'll be at the end of this video. We'll also link to it to be able to see just our suffering and how the day actually looked.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed this. If there's something that we missed, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let us know what your favorite piece of gear was that you had that we might not have mentioned that could help somebody else.
Or if you have questions in the comments, we'll answer it.
Make sure to follow us on Babs Outside. That's pretty much our handle on everything.
Yeah.
Subscribe, like this video, all the things. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you outside.
On the next adventure.
Yeah. GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording.
I think mine is.
Alexa, start.